friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hi, and welcome to Culture Bucket, the universe's best podcast in the world ever, where two great best friends talk all things pop culture. This week we're doing a top 5 episode where we're going to discuss our top 5 Spider-Man movies in celebration of the recent release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse,
Woohoo!
the second part of the Spider-Verse trilogy of animated movies. And yeah, that's all going to be good. Before we get any further, I'll introduce myself. My name is George. And with me is your co-host of every week, Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
You didn't forget about yourself this week.
Hi. No. And before I move any further as well, I'm going to remind people that if they would like to support us, we would really appreciate it. And they can support us by just telling their friends to listen to us, or by reviewing us and rating us anywhere that podcasts can be reviewed and rated. In-app often, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, etc. Or by buying us a coffee if they'd like to, and they can find information about that and all of the things to do with our social media presence in the link tree, which is linked to in the show notes for this and every episode. And they can also find links to our Instagram account, where Alex does some wonderful artwork. Her artwork for the Ghibli episode a few weeks ago was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So please go and look at that stuff. And I occasionally post news and other things related to pop culture, so a good page to follow, I think. So go
Definitely.
Anywho, top 5 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, top 5 Spider-Man movies.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
Alex, you said you didn't like Spider-Man to me once, so what has changed?
Still not my favourite, but I'm not.
But he can do everything that a spider can.
Yeah.
Spin a web, climb a wall,
I guess.
lift a big brick.
Well, I guess I watched the first one, and then I watched the second one with Tobey Maguire, and then I skipped the third one. Didn't watch Andrew Garfield's one until we did a top 5 Andrew Garfield's films. And then I started watching the Tom Holland ones, which I enjoyed. So it's kind of been like a bit of a journey. And then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse kind of changed that, and I really enjoy that. I think sometimes maybe Spider-Man is better in an animation version more than...
Yeah, well, that's the lovely thing about Spider-Man is he's so popular that there's so many different flavours of Spider-Man to enjoy. There's the recent Insomniac game for PlayStation 4 and 5, which is getting a sequel this year. There's various cartoons over the years. I used to watch one from the 90s when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
That was great.
Well,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I did not like that. That's the thing. Maybe that's where it started. I was more like the Batman kind of cartoon.
Well, Batman's good as well. We'll be talking about Batman in a few weeks.
Yeah.
In celebration of the release of The Flash, or in resignation at the release of The Flash. We'll find out.
Who knows?
Anyway, so
yes,
Spider-Man. Movies. Did you? So I've seen all of them already.
No. The answer is no.
I have seen all of them already.
Yes.
Is what I said.
Yes.
You have not.
No.
Did you do any catching up prior to this episode? No, that's fine. Because I think the ones you haven't seen,
I don't
are
care.
not likely to make your list.
I nearly did, and then I was like, I don't want. It's only 2. I haven't watched the third Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and I haven't watched the second one with Andrew Garfield. So it's only 2.
Yeah, neither of them would be in anyone's top 5. So
yeah,
safe.
Yes. Definitely.
Right. So all of that being said,
yeah.
Let's get into it. Your turn to start.
Number 5, I've gone for the origin story, what has started the Spider-Man universe, and I've gone with 2002 Spider-Man. Spider-Man, where this is the origin story of Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man, and he is this nerdy high schooler who lives with his aunt and uncle, and he's not very popular. And one day when he's in a school trip or something, he gets bitten. A field trip or something. They call them field trips.
Yeah, he's on a field trip to the
and he gets bitten by
lab.
a spider, and that changes his life, and he wakes up with like a six-pack, and he's got like spider tingly sense, and he becomes Spider-Man. And he, in the first one, he has to fight this psycho millionaire Norman Osborn, who who injected himself with this liquid, and he became Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe, wonderfully. Mary Jane is played by Kristen Dunst.
Yes.
And his friend, played by James Franco. Yeah, what happened to James Franco? He's gone.
Nothing.
Yeah. And I think everybody loves an origin story, and I think this was a good way to start. I watched it at the cinema, and I thought it was, entertaining enough, and I think it's a good film. It's an okay film. Nah, I like the first one.
Me too.
Yeah, I think the first one was good. Yeah,
So you watched it originally at the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you liked it or didn't like it?
No, I did like it. I did like it at the time. Yeah. The reason I don't know, Spider-Man. I guess after the second one, I think I said I didn't like Spider-Man because after the second, I didn't really like the second one, and then they released it again. At the time, there wasn't this thing about multi-universe, and you could have different Spider-Mans, and so it was like, why is Andrew Garfield doing it again? What's the point?
I know, but it turns out that's all been.
But now it's like, yeah, do it again. Who's next Spider-Man? How exciting! And I think if Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man came out now, it would be more exciting. But at the time, it was like, why? Who cares?
Yeah, it's very true. Accurate.
Yeah.
Also, if those movies were better, then those movies did not rise to the level of Andrew Garfield's performance, sadly.
Yeah.
Whereas Tobey Maguire is fine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia for him as Spider-Man. But
Yeah.
like, the movie is better than his performance, whereas it's the other way around with the Amazing films with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like it. It's a good choice for number 5.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh. Okay.
The first animated film shocked everyone because it sort of came out of nowhere, weirdly. Like, Andrew Garfield was gone, Tom Holland was doing his thing, the Sony were trying to make Venom movies and stuff, and then suddenly out of nowhere they were like, yeah, with Phil Lord and Christopher Miller have written this Spider-Man animated film, and we're making this, and it has Miles Morales, who's a character that people don't particularly know at the time. Now everybody knows Miles Morales. Great stuff. And I remember going to see it and just being pretty blown away by how good it was. This is the adventures of a boy who gets bitten by a radioactive spider, but he's not Peter Parker, he's Miles Morales, and he has to fight the Kingpin, who's attempted to use an interdimensional cannon to bring his wife and child in from another dimension, as he's lost them in the dimension that Miles is from. And he ends up coming up against Dr. Octopus as well. And he ends up getting mentored by Peter B. Parker from another dimension, voiced by Jake Johnson, who's very good in that role. And he also is aided by Spider-Gwen, played by Haley Steinfeld, Spider-Man Noir, played by Nicolas Cage, and Spider-Ham, played by John Mulaney, and Penny Parker, who is like an anime-inspired Spider-Man, voiced by, I don't know who voices Penny, Kimiko Glenn. Kimiko Glenn, who is very good as Penny Parker. And you've also got Brian Tyree Henry as Miles' dad, and Mahershala Ali plays the Prowler, who's Miles' uncle, and that's a big thing for him to have to deal with. It's a great film. It's animated in a really interesting way. The frame rate alters, is changed slightly to make it feel more like a flip sort of comic book pages rather than a smooth animation. And like I was talking about last week, it really started this trend of animations feeling more and more comfortable with not having to try and replicate photorealism, but being stylized in their own ways. And the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is another example of that that aesthetic hopefully coming through. Yeah, I really like this movie. It's really fun, engaging, interesting, funny, inventive. And, you know, the more you like Spider-Man and the more you have engaged with Spider-Man media, the more you'll get out of this film because it references so many different parts of the world of Spider-Man. And, you know, it's recently had a sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it's getting a third film, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, next year. So, and the new one is doing shockingly well, apparently. It's making a lot of money. So, people are really enjoying this animated universe. I'm glad. So that's my number 5. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is another origin story. Weirdly, I quite enjoyed this because I enjoyed the performances. And it's the latest one I watched. And it's The Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With Andrew Garfield.
With Andrew Garfield. So,
what made you like this one so much?
I think Andrew Garfield. I think him and Emma Stone kind of like carried the story. The story is a little bit silly, you know, it's still the origin story and, you know, how he becomes Spider-Man. But then he kind of finds out from a briefcase that his dad is connected to Doctor something who then becomes the Lizard. And kind of
Kurt
finds
Connors.
Yes, it kind of finds out why his dad is gone. But I think what I think is the performance and the amount of like, I think is really believable, much more believable than Tobey Maguire. I think I don't know, I think it was put a lot under the radar by people like me going, I don't care about that Spider-Man. And I don't think it's that bad.
No, I think of the two Andrew Garfield ones, it's the better film.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is pretty palpable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Andrew Garfield, he's too old really to be playing that character at that point, but we've all let it go because he is just, I mean, Andrew Garfield is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So
but also he does kind of look the part. Whilst Tobey Maguire did not look the part, he did look like a 30-year-old.
No, but then you go further forward and like Tom Holland, I think Tom Holland was the first time where they cast someone who genuinely looked like a child.
Yeah.
in the role of a teenager.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, but Andrew Garfield is great. But
yeah.
then it's got, I don't know, there's a couple of like, there's a Coldplay song in it, which makes
oh my God, you can't just like
some of the music choices are a bit straight down the middle.
Okay, but it was done in 2012, and I think, you know,
that doesn't mean anything. It's not relevant.
No.
Why
is it not relevant?
Because it's a Coldplay song from like 2002. Why does the fact it came out in 2012 mean anything?
I don't know. Coldplay was still popular.
They're still popular now. It doesn't.
I know. How is that happening? Why?
I don't know.
Just.
It's stupid, I reckon.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a very good film. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I wish I hadn't overseen it. But then I think I appreciated it more because I watched it in recent years more than at the time.
Yeah, I definitely like the first time I watched it. I was a bit like, okay, and then watching it more recently, I've been come around on it a bit, especially because of the way they've used, you know, the way it's all played out in the years since has made it more valid.
Yes, exactly, and more exciting for films to come.
Speaking of, my number 4 choice is Spider-Man: No Way Home. The third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Which is also secretly the third Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie and the fourth Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Because all of the Spider-Men are here.
Yeah.
Yes. We're now in an era where Spider-Man. I'm kind of excited for the next. So this movie, it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. It's Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but he creates he doesn't want people to know he's Spider-Man anymore because it's ruining his life, so he goes to Doctor Strange and does a spell to get rid of people's memories of him as Spider-Man. But what happens is it ends up he makes a mistake, he tries to alter the spell once Doctor Strange has started casting it, and it ends up changing it so that it brings in from other dimensions people who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is the sort of conceit, although it doesn't entirely work because there's definitely at least one villain that comes in that doesn't. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, it's a reason to bring in Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin,
all of them.
Jamie Foxx's Electro, Reese Ifans' Lizard.
Yeah.
There's another one. Oh, Thingy's Sandman, the guy that played Sandman. I don't remember his name. The guy
that plays.
He's in
Sandman.
Sideways. Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church is Sandman. And then we all knew that before we went in. The posters had those things on them. It kind of got spoiled. We knew that was happening. The thing they managed to sort of kind of keep a secret, just secret enough that you weren't sure it was going to happen, but it did happen, was the arrival into the film of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And the moment in the movie where Andrew Garfield takes his mask off and reveals himself. I've never heard a cinema cheer like that in the UK before, and it's one of my favourite moments being in a cinema ever. It was so cool.
Definitely.
And it's a really good, fun movie as well. Like, it makes good use of those things. And it is weird that we're now at a stage where a Spider-Man movie, it seems like it has to reference all the different Spider-Mans that exist because the Spider-Verse films are doing it as well. And the way this movie ends, it kind of ends at a point where if they do it, well, they are doing a fourth Tom Holland one.
Are they?
Yeah, they're talking. It's a while away. It's going to be a good few years, but it is coming, and I'm really hoping and praying that it is a down-to-earth, local, friendly New York Spider-Man story of just the one Spider-Man in New York fighting the Kingpin or someone. Because as much as I love all of this madness, I am excited to see them tell a really street-level story. I hope. In the future, but no, this is extremely entertaining, and it gets Alfred Molina is so good as Dr. Octopus, but it gets us much more time with one of the greatest performances of a superhero villain ever, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who chews the scenery apart. Is absolutely incredible. He's quite old at this point, but he you believe him completely as still this superpowered
absolutely
lunatic. So, and he does some the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so afraid often to have actual stakes and to let characters die. But in this movie, they pull in the Green Goblin from another dimension and he just is awful and he does horrible things and he really pushes our heroes in, and it's great. It's a great movie. It could have just been a movie where it got by on the strength of bringing all these different actors together, but it doesn't do that. It tells a good story as well, and it's entertaining and fun, and I really love it. So yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home is my number 4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home.
That's the same movie I just picked.
Yeah.
Why have you got it? Why do you like it?
Because although the story is there's but like, why do you have to kind of open the universe to make everybody forget? There are other ways you can do stuff. I think it was so good to kind of pay homage to the other Spider-Mans and to make them work together and to make the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man believable and good to other people. And everybody was so excited. And I had the same cinema experience as you, so well, we were not in the same place, but I think everybody that watched that for the first time at the cinema was like, it's great to acknowledge, and I liked it because they acknowledged all the other things that have, the other films that, good or bad, they have been acknowledged, and in a way, the universe has unified, and I don't know, I just enjoyed it. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I agree with all of that. It's wonderful. That was definitely a movie where everyone was just enthusiastic about it.
Exactly. Enthusiastic about anything. The plot, the storyline is not really kind of making sense, and that do we have to go back in time or open universes? Who cares? But I think it was just kind of exciting, and that's why.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
That's Spider-Man.
What's your number 3?
No Way Home. My number 3 is Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire.
Oh,
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
okay.
Yeah, I love this movie. I have very serious nostalgia at the memory of going to see this movie in the cinema. It came out in 2004. I would have been 15 or 16 years old, probably 15. I went to see it in the cinema at the Trafford Centre in Manchester with my mum and my younger brother, and it's just a really, really wonderful film. It's often hailed as one of the best superhero movies of all time. It tells a really good story of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, trying to balance everything, trying to balance his love for Mary Jane with his work and with being Spider-Man. He finds a mentor father figure to replace Uncle Ben in Dr. Otto Octavius, who unfortunately ends up being cruelly taken over by the octopus-esque mechanical arms he uses in his experiments, and gets driven insane and decides he wants to destroy. He wants to destroy and be bad. He's a bad guy. He turns into an insane bad guy who just wants to do these dangerous experiments, and he's trying to create this matter energy ball thing. And anyway, it's heartfelt and emotional, and it's directed by Sam Raimi. So it's got there's the one scene where the arms have fused with Dr. Otto Octavius, and he's having surgery to try and remove them, and the arms come to life and start attacking the doctors that are trying to save him, and Sam Raimi films it like it's a sequence out of The Evil Dead. It's kind of this terrifying horror sequence in the middle of this superhero movie, and it's just got all this character to it that comes through because of the director and because of what he's bringing to the table in the way that you don't often see in the MCU. Until you get Sam Raimi making Doctor Strange 2, or Taika Waititi can do that, James Gunn can do that, but it doesn't happen often. It's got the J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He's back in this one, and that's a character that has now, similar to other characters, he's come back again and again as that character now, and is iconically linked to it. Yeah, I really love this movie, and I think that Alfred Molina gives so much heart and humanity to quite a, he's called Otto Octavius, but it really works, and I love it. Yeah, I really like this film. You said you didn't like it when you watched it.
No.
Do you remember why?
No. I think I watched this one at the cinema as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Maybe I did like it. I don't know. I can't remember. I've watched it so long ago.
I wonder what you'd think of it if you watched it again.
I wonder. Maybe I should watch it again. Well, I might have to watch it again.
Oh yeah, well yeah, maybe that'll be your homework.
Yeah.
You can see how you feel about it now. It's a really, I don't know, I think Spider-Man 2 is pretty incredible. The fact that there are two movies I prefer to Spider-Man 2 is quite a testament, because Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
Is it?
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is another Tom Holland Spider-Man, and is the second installment, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal. I love him in this film.
Mysterio, baby.
Yeah, and this happens. So this film happens after Avengers Endgame. So everything has gone to shit, and Peter Parker has seen Tony Stark die. There's been the blip, and for a teenage boy that is not really Spider-Man, to cope with that in real life is a bit hard. So he's trying to try to cope with that, and they're going to, and so he wants to take a break, and he goes on a field trip to Europe, and he wants to ask MJ out. So it's kind of like kind of being a teenager for a little bit, but things don't go the right way. Things don't go the good way for him, because Fury wants to recruit him to some creatures or something are attacking. There's some various attacks, and he has to help them. And we also have a brave new hero, Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, which I think adds quite a bit to this, to this film. But Jake Gyllenhaal isn't who we think he is, and by the end, or that's then we go to the third one where everybody knows who Spider-Man is. He reveals who Spider-Man is. And it's pretty...
Yeah.
And there's that amazing scene
Pretty horrible thing to do.
Yeah, and there's that amazing scene in New York with him and MJ just going... Is it in New York? Or in London?
Yeah, New York.
New York.
It's the return of J.K. Simmons to J.J. Jonah Jameson, as well, which was a shocking moment in the cinema.
Yes.
And the precursor to many more shocking moments to come.
Yeah. I like this film. I think it was fun. It was fun.
It's a really fun romp through Europe, fighting big lava monsters and things. And then Jake Gyllenhaal just being... He puts in a good unhinged performance.
Yeah. What do you think of this one?
Oh, well, Spider-Man, I like it. It doesn't... It's tough because the Tobey Maguire movies, I have so much nostalgia for at least the first two, that it's hard for me to compare my love for those films with the Tom Holland ones, which don't emotionally hit me in the way that the originals did, but they're really fun, and like I really love the design of the Spider-Man costume in the Tom Holland films. I think Spider-Man looks amazing in these films. I think Zendaya is really, Zendaya's an iconoclast. She's incredible. So that's fine. And Jake Gyllenhaal's really good, but it just all feels a little bit disposable for me, which is the reason why it's not on my list. But I think it's good. I like it more than Homecoming, but not as much as No Way Home. And I probably prefer it to the Andrew Garfield films as well. So yeah, I like it. It. It's good. My number 2 film is maybe my number 1 film, but I need to watch it again. It is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
The recently released, which I talked about last week in Culture Catch-Up. I need to watch it again to really know where it stands, because it's again, like I just said, it's going up against movies that I've had for much longer. There might be some recency bias in there, so I'm putting it at number 2 for now, because there was definitely there was one point in this movie, or maybe even 2 points in this movie, where I started to tear up a little bit just at how good it was. Just over how much I was enjoying it. Yeah. I got a little bit like, we don't see a film like this every day. It's so good. It is so wonderful. I love all of the characters. Miles Morales is just a wonderful. Gwen Stacy is so good as Spider-Gwen. I really like that they've done that with that character. Oscar Isaac puts in a great performance as Miguel O'Hara. Jason Schwartzman as the Spot is like the Spot's in the trailers, and you assume the Spot's going to be a small role, but the Spot's actually a pretty pivotal character, and is a really funny, interesting take on a villain. Really enjoyable, and then all the other, they've got the Indian Spider-Man in there. And there's that whole there is so much inventiveness and interesting stuff going on in this film that I absolutely love it, and it does feel like the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. Like it really does, push things forwards a lot from the last film, and big fan of Across the Spider-Verse. You should definitely watch it.
Yes.
So yeah, I talked about it. You can hear me talk about it much more last week on if you go back to the last episode. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Shameik Moore as Miles Morales is wonderful, and much more of that, please. And like I said, and the animation style. Oh, the animation style is so good, so good.
So good,
so good. Okay, number 1 for you is
my number 1 is your number 5, which is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice. Yes. Why do you rate it so highly?
Because it's so good. Like, it's so good. I think this gave me hope again back in Spider-Man. Although I like the Tom Holland ones, they're really fun. But I think the animation in this one is so cool, and it's not Peter Parker anymore. It's Miles Morales, and the story is different. The origin story is completely changed. The voice acting they chose are amazing, and it just everything is so good about this film. And I love the innovation of it. I love how it looks. Which was very successful, and it's going to be more successful because you said that the next one is incredible, and it was just such a fun time watching it. Yeah, and
fair play.
And because of this film, now we have, kind of different animation, and people stepping out of their boxes and making animation fun and creative, and going back to kind of being a little bit messy. And I think, and this story is good. It's a very good story. And the spider pig. Spider pig.
Spider ham.
Spider ham. I forgot. It's Spider ham. Yeah.
John Mulaney.
Yeah. It's so good.
Not enough Spider Ham in the second film. I'll say that much. But there are other great things to replace it. Especially Ben Reilly. Oh, just wait till you see Ben Reilly. I love Andy Samberg is so funny in the second film. Okay. And also Ben Reilly is from a not loved comic book run from I think the 90s where Peter Parker gets cloned. And the clone is called Ben Reilly, and he has all the powers of Spider-Man and stuff, but he's all like emotionally distraught because of the fact that he's a clone, and they do such a good spin on it in the second film.
Nice.
And I remember playing Spider-Man games on the PlayStation when I was a kid, and you could unlock the Scarlet Spider costume, Ben Reilly's costume. And I remember not really understanding what that character was, and now that I know, it's good. It's good stuff. Okay, my number one.
Yes.
Is ironically, I don't know if that's probably not the correct use of the word irony, but my number one is your number 5.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the 2002 original Tobey Maguire film, which, I mean, I went to see it on like a preview screening before it properly came out all the way back in 2002, and I loved it, and I have so much nostalgia for it, and I think I can't separate it from that nostalgia really. It's hard for me to be like unbiased when I'm talking about this movie, but like Tobey Maguire's performance I really like. Willem Dafoe is just amazing in the movie. Like Willem Dafoe was Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, before Heath Ledger did the Joker, before, so many other great villains in these superhero movies. Willem Dafoe did such incredible work as the Green Goblin, and it didn't get the recognition it deserved until they did No Way Home, and he got another chance to show how all the way back in 2002, and then we get Tom Hiddleston, we get Heath Ledger, we get Tom Hardy, we get all of these iconic superhero villains, and then Willem Dafoe comes back to remind you just how terrifying and weird and crazy it's possible to get when you're being a superhero villain. He kills it. So yeah, and it's got the upside down kiss. It's got the bit where he trips in the canteen and manages to catch all the food on his tray. It's got the bit where the Green Goblin impales himself on his own glider. It's got the Macy's Day Parade with it's just it's so good. So yeah, okay. I love this movie, and and I think maybe Across the Spider-Verse is a better film. Yeah, but
I agree.
My number one has to still be Spider-Man, and we'll see what happens in the future. So yeah, we can talk briefly about a couple that didn't make either of our lists. I mean, you haven't seen Spider-Man 3.
No.
The third one, Sam Raimi he got a bit his reach, his grasp. I can't remember the phrase, but he tried to reach further than he could, and it's a bit of a mistake. Sandman is not that compelling, kind of redoing some of the Doc Ock arc of like the tortured, the sort of tortured person that just wants to do good but gets warped and twisted. It's not really that good. And then the studio insisted on putting Venom into it, which just was a bad idea, and the thingy that's playing Venom, I can't remember, Topher Grace as Eddie Brock just is not well cast, and it's like very long. It's like 3 hours long, and it goes on these weird tangents where Peter Parker turns into like an emo with a haircut to the side, and just mad stuff. Then The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield returning has merit. Jamie Foxx puts in the best performance he can, but they make the weird mistake of colouring him blue and making him bald, which they took out of No Way Home and just had him be Jamie Foxx, which was the right move.
Yeah.
But then Dane DeHaan's Hobgoblin is just unpleasant and weird and not great. The only other one we haven't talked about is Spider-Man Homecoming, the first Tom Holland one, which I think we can both agree is a pretty great film.
Yeah, it's okay.
But the thing with the Tom Holland ones is I think they've gotten better with each film. So,
yeah, definitely.
Although I will, Michael Keaton, very good as the Vulture. I enjoy his performance. So yeah, that's it. That's our top 5 Spider-Man films. I think we've had a good time.
I haven't watched the trailer for Spider-Man, the new one.
Oh, would you like to do a little bit of a MyTube?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting for me to watch this.
We didn't do our top 5 first. Should we do top 5?
Oh yeah. Well, do you want to run through yours while I'm getting it up?
Yes. So my top 5. Number 5, Spider-Man, the first one. My number 4, The Amazing Spider-Man. Number 3, No Way Home. Number 2, Far From Home. And my number 1, Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse.
Very nice. My top 5 was number 5, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 3, Spider-Man 2. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And number 1, Spider-Man 2002. Etc. Okay, so to get you hyped for seeing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, let's have a little look at the trailer. Are you ready?
Yes.
Wash.
New trailer starts now.
Oh, the soundtrack in this film is very good.
My name
Yes.
I'm Brooklyn's one.
Oh, it looks so good.
And things are going
Oh, they have like... They're just so good.
All right, whatever. Wow.
Whatever?
So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian? I am.
Oh, the Spot. He's losing stuff out of his body.
Yeah, Spot's a very weird looking guy.
Yeah.
My little man. And a B in Spanish. What? Ooh, okay. Miles. Are you trying? Mira.
So, Spot is like, can travel anywhere?
You know it.
Yeah, he can kind of create little portals off his body and travel around.
Want to get out of here?
Okay, so Gwen is there.
So wait a minute. There's an elite crew with all the best spider people in it?
Who's the new guy?
This is unbelievable.
This is the lobby. Miguel O'Hara. The whole thing was his idea.
What's a guy got to do to join this spider team?
You can never be part of this.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999.
Come on, go easy on the kid. He had a terrible teacher.
Peter.
Miles! Mayday.
He has a baby.
He has a little baby, Mayday Parker.
I'll take it from here. Miles, being Spider-Man is a sacrifice.
Oh, I can see the little kiss.
You have a choice between saving one person and
Oh,
saving
they have to make a
everyone.
choice. One person or the universe.
Send me home. I can't do that.
I can do both.
Oh, love. So that's what you're saying, that all the different animations.
Not for Uncle Ben. Most of us wouldn't be here.
Wow.
You can't run forever, kid.
Looks a little bit more tragic than the first one.
A little bit more what?
Tragic.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of emotion.
There's a lot of emotion. Okay.
He's telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
All stations, stop Spider-Man.
Oh. Cool. Looks very cool.
Let me guess.
Oh, that's not funny. I did that. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that really reminded me how good that movie is. I want to watch it again.
Okay,
It's
so is that your number
it's so
one
good.
now? Number one. Number one. Tobey Maguire. Number 2.
We'll have to. Oh, it's so good. It's so incredible. You should definitely get it watched as soon as you can watch it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just But the only thing I hope they stick the landing, and I hope that the next one is even better. But I don't see how it can be. I think quite often the ending film of a trilogy tends to get lost in just finishing off the story and not doing its own thing enough. And it might run into that problem. But whether it does or not, at the moment we've got this film, and it's just phenomenal. So well done.
Cool.
Well done, Across the Spider-Verse. It's so good. Okay, so that was episode 107. We're going to be back next week with episode 108, which will be another Culture Catch-Up episode where we'll be talking about some things. Maybe I might have seen The Little Mermaid by then, I'm not sure.
Oh,
I don't know if
that was my favourite cartoon when I was growing up.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll watch that. And then we'll be back the week after that for episode 109, which will be our top 5 Batman movies, another top 5 superhero countdown for the Flash movie, which is coming out pretty shortly. So yeah,
what are we counting as Batman movies? Are we counting Zack Snyder's Justice Leagues as well?
Well, does it matter?
I don't know. Maybe I like it.
You've got Batman from 1966 with Adam West. You've got Batman from 1989 with Michael Keaton. You've got Batman Returns with Michael Keaton. Batman Forever with Val Kilmer. Batman and Robin with George Clooney.
Oh, my favourite.
The Dark Knight. No, sorry. Batman Begins with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight with Christian Bale. The Dark Knight Rises with Christian Bale. And then Batman versus Superman with Ben Affleck.
I love that one.
And then I guess the Justice League film can count, but none of us are going to put it in our top 5. And then The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
The Batman, okay.
The Batman.
Okay.
So there's plenty to pick from there.
Yeah. I've seen most of them.
I've seen most of them. I've not seen the Adam West film, but that's fine. So let's call it there. It's been a pleasure. Please do join us next week. Please tell your friends, go and rate and review us, all of those things. And we can't wait to see you again. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.